Okay, so moving on today, we're really blessed today with our next speaker. So I want to bring this guy on screen now, and thank him for joining us. Bill Hart, welcome to the Guild Virtual Leadership Summit. It's good to have you.
It is so good to be here live with Kelly and Ryan.
You've gotten a lot of awards, but being the first speaker, we could have had anybody, Bill, and but we chose you, and the reason we chose you, because you're a guy that doesn't really need any introduction because you're so well known throughout the industry. You've been coaching mortgage people like us and realtors for 17 years. You ever figure out, Bill, how many hours that is, by the way? 17 years of coaching?
It's actually 16,000 hours in the coach's chair. Yeah.
Oh,
long
wow.
time.
You ought to have it down by now, right? But anyhow,
I've been exposed to a lot. Yep.
Bill, as you know, we've been doing this all week, and you've joined us, and you've seen some of the things in action. And today we're on mindset. I can't think of a better topic to end our sales rally with, the last speaker. And I can't think of a better guy, honestly, and I really mean that, because you've meant a lot to the industry. You've meant a lot to us who've known you all the industry. You're a great guy. You're a great coach. And we really appreciate your signing up and coming in today. So thanks again. So I'll just turn it over to you. And you've got some time to kind of talk to us about what I think is one of the more important things we've ever had, and that's mindset. So have at it, Bill. Have fun.
Thank you, Barry. And Gemma, I appreciate that so much. It is such an interesting topic right now. And before I even share my screen, I just want to talk to you guys a bit, because my understanding is that there's about 2,000 people right now that are present. And I don't know what percentage or what the total numbers are that are in operations, but you're very kind, Barry, when you said that, I need no introduction. And, when you've got gray hair and you've been around the business a long time, that's true with sales rallies and industry events with the sales teams, but not so much on the ops side. And, what I know is I coach enough regionals and branch managers these days to know what that strain has looked like when we think about mindset on those of you in operations. So if I'm talking to you right now and you're at home and you haven't worked out of the house before, and you're dealing with little kids in the house, and you're dealing with the sound of leaf blowers outside and UPS drivers showing up and dogs barking, and you're still pushing through these unbelievable numbers, like Barry called out at the top of this call, I mean, our hat is off to you, because I know what kind of pressure and stress that creates. And so as all of that relates to mindset right now, if we think about what's happening, right, what started with the COVID reality and then exacerbated, obviously, recently with everything else that is going on, it throws us as human beings, whatever you do professionally, including nothing. There's retired people, right? That people that aren't working at all, restaurant workers that are just now maybe coming back. They're thrown into this forced passivity. And when you're in a forced passivity, it's kind of a helpless place to be. And so what we're going to talk about today is this idea of the difference between a reactive mindset, which is what we've all been thrown into. There was really no way to fight that initially, and a proactive mindset. And here's what I've learned as a coach in the 16,000 hours I've been in this chair. When we're dealing with change, never before have we seen anything quite like this. But when we're dealing with huge change, I'm just going to tell you, this is less linear and it's more like a dance. And so with that in mind, I am going to share with you my thoughts on this topic in this fashion. And so that now should look the way that it's supposed to look. And it's just this simple idea of mindset matters most. Mindset matters most. And the beautiful thing about this is, what we've learned is, the neuroscience behind this is, you can choose your mindset. You can absolutely choose your mindset. And so I'm going to give you some tools today. And my hope is that at the end of this time, whatever your role, if you're a top producer performing at the very highest levels, banging out amazing numbers, if you're a branch manager, if you're running an operations center, if you're a processor, if you're an underwriter, whatever it is that you do, This is something that's applicable to you where you are today. So that's my hope. That's my hope. So here are my objectives. It's pretty simple, right? I want to help you to understand the psychology of crisis and its impact on our feelings, our actions, and really our productivity. Number two, I want you to better understand how to create a plan for you to create your focus and to improve your focus and execution in the days ahead. I'm seeing this again and again and again in coaching sessions, that through the simple things that we're going to talk about today, you can gain more control, you can gain more margin in your life. There is a way to manage your schedule and your calendar on your terms and not feel like you have to be available 24/7, 7 days a week. That's not sustainable. You'll blow. Carotid arteries blow out, right? It's just, that's not sustainable. And so all of us in this industry can benefit from these simple tools that will help you to manage your days and your weeks more intentionally. And then lastly, how to actually own it and implement it. So if that makes sense to you, if I had 2,000 people in the audience, I would ask you to say yes. And you would all say yes right now, and I'd be excited, and then I'd move to the next slide. So I'm just imagining all of that happening right now. So I want to introduce you to a term that this may or may not have already been introduced to you this week. I haven't had the opportunity to be with you, but this term VUCA, V-U-C-A, was created by the Army War College after the end of the Cold War. And VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And if you think about where we were right after the Cold War, that was the environment. And yet it couldn't be any more applicable to where we are right now. It is volatile, it is uncertain, it is complex, and it is ambiguous, and that's everything, right? Now you juxtapose that to the weirdness that Michael just described to us, that we are so blessed in the mortgage space, you guys. It's unbelievable. It's not only do we have the opportunity that housing brings us, but we have the additional opportunity that low interest rates bring us, that I think Michael just said 80% of the US population has the ability to refinance. Like, we're going to refinance them all again. So we have two different tracks that we run on, right? Refi and purchase. And so we have this unbelievable opportunity where we're very busy as an industry. It is a very affluent industry. We have got productivity going on. Things are happening, but we're also dealing with mindset. And so here's the reality for most of us. We're sitting at home. We're trying to work on a kitchen table. For some of you who didn't even have that, you've got a laptop set up on an ironing board, with kids that aren't in school and dogs that are barking and all of those other interruptions that are happening. And so that's what our reality looks like. And so what it creates is this thing that's happening inside our brains, in our limbic system back here, where it throws us into this fight, flight, or freeze mode. Now, fight, flight, or freeze is great if there's a bus coming at us, or if I hear gunshots. Like, that's how God made us, so that we could react and respond and protect ourselves. It was not intended for this to go on for 90 days. And so what occurs is we have adrenaline and cortisol coursing through our system, forcing us into this fight, flight, or freeze mode. And what it does is it creates a group of people that look like this. Think about your team right now. Think about the people you work with. Like, picture this as a Zoom call, right? On any day of the week when you've got 6, 8, 10, 12 people. This is what you've got, is all these egg faces that are freaking out, but they're showing up with their shorts on and their nice shirt, just as I am right now. Come on, we all know we do this. Many of them using the virtual backgrounds on Zoom because they literally don't have a home office. I've had a home office for 17 years. This is not a big deal for me. Nothing much has changed. But that's not true for most of us. And so what we have to do now is look at where we are in this. And this is, you know, initially when COVID hit, it looked like this was going to be a storm. Like, we're going to have a storm and we're going to weather it, and then we're going to come out the other side. And now, as we start listening to the prognosticators, and, you know, it's hard to know what's entirely true, but here's what we believe is true. This is going to be with us for a while. It's going to be with us for a while. Right today, my wife is so excited to go into Home Goods. Women, Ladies, how many of you can relate to that? Like, yes, I want to go to Home Goods. And my daughter just sent us a text and she said, I went to Hobby Lobby and I didn't buy anything. I think I've forgotten how to shop. And so just that normalcy of getting outside and going to a restaurant and walking through stores, and we miss that so much, and salons opening, right? All that stuff that matters to us that just helps us to feel more normal. We now realize this is probably more of a season than it is a storm. You know, depending on where you are in the country, much is opened up, much isn't. But at the end of the day, this is going to be going on for a while. Over here on a doorknob outside of the camera view right now, I've got like 4 different masks over there. You know, I've got the one that I can pull around my neck and it just sort of rests down there and I pull it up like I'm going to rob a train. There's that one. I've got the medical one, right? That we're all used to seeing, the blue one that's, you know, if it's just going to be a kind of a quick situation, I'll wear that. And for goodness sakes, we have multiple masks and none of us are even getting on airplanes yet. So imagine what that's going to look like. So the point is, this is going to be with us for a while, you guys. We've got to be able to manage our mindset. And so point number 1, and I've only got 3 for you today. Point number 1 is I really want you to consider about how you start your day. You know, very often you'll hear people talking about your morning routine, and often I think people initially react to that like, well, I don't have a morning routine. It's no, you do. You just may not have a good one, right? So there are people right now that they're not having to wake up early, take a shower, feed the kids, take the kids to school, drive to work. And so what we do is maybe sleep in. We sleep a bit later. And so you've got a routine. And then if the first thing you do is turn on the news, bad idea. Your routine is evolving and developing. And so I want to challenge you to start thinking about, how do you start your day? And when that alarm goes off at 5 a.m., or whatever time it goes off, right? What are the first things that you do? How are you starting your day? And so here's something to consider. Something we talk about a lot in coaching are the 3 buckets. Think about how you start your day. The 3 buckets are control, influence, and accept. So when something is happening externally, can I control it? Yes or no? Can I influence it? Yes or no? And if I can't control it, can I just accept it? If you take nothing else from this talk but this, it will benefit you so much. I've seen it work in my own life, in my family's life, with so many clients and their extended teams. When I do these kind of talks for smaller teams, you guys, like, pull out your phone, take a picture of this. I'll provide the PowerPoint though, and you can get that from Guild. But control, influence, and accept. It's so helpful to help people that get they get all wrapped around the axle of something that they cannot control. And so what I'm going to suggest to you is, let's focus on the things that you can. And number 1 is the news. Here's the thing about news cycle, you guys. News cycles, no matter what channel you watch, I don't care what channel you watch, it is designed to bring you in so they have longer viewership, which maximizes advertising dollars, that it's all designed to bring you back in. So if you think about it, if you saw this on your screen, there would be a ticker at the bottom, there'd be some dramatic music, boom, boom, and it would say now developing or live or this just in. It's all designed to pull us in. In the research that I did for this talk, here's what I've learned. If you watch just 3 minutes of negative news in the morning, there's a Huffington Post article that indicates that their studies indicate that if you watch just 3 minutes of negative news in the morning, you are 27% more likely to say that you're having a bad day. It's poison. I'm not saying we have to be ignorant. You have to get your news. I get it. I just don't use TV very much. I use a service called Flipboard, Flipboard. It allows you to put in the topics that you're interested in, and then it feeds them to you. There's many services like that. But here's what we know about the news. Ultimately, it creates a sense of learned helplessness. I don't know about you, but I don't need to learn helplessness. So again, if we were live in a big room together, I would ask, like, can I hear an amen? And my hope is that most of you would give me a hallelujah, like, absolutely, I can watch less news. Look, I get it. when a car chase comes on, it's almost like too good to be true. In Southern California, we have car chases all the time. That's what we do here. It's a national sport for our city, apparently. You know, you almost can't pull away from it. And the same is true when you see demonstrations and so forth. But have you realized that, or have you experienced that at some point it's like, okay, I sort of got it. I know what's happening. I don't just need to keep watching this. So less news. I'm going to suggest that you start your day with something positive. And so whether that's Simon Sinek, right? Phenomenal thinker, thought leader, whether it's the Bible, 2,000-year-old wisdom, kind of an owner's manual for your life, if that's your belief system, or arguably the woman who's got it all figured out and we just need to be listening to more, Brene Brown. But I'm not kidding you guys. I'm going to suggest to you that you go to YouTube, you listen to a podcast, you go there intentionally and put some of that positivity in your head as you start your day, and you watch what happens. And so what happens is you end up as a result of this with more autonomy and more control, rather than getting pulled into somebody else's narrative, if that makes sense. So number two, I want you to define the win. What the heck does the win look like for you? How do I know that I've won in the sense of my day and my mindset? And so I'm going to suggest to you that one of the ways that we do that is we've got to kind of picture the finish line, right? And so one of the things that we want to do is idealize this sense of, like, doesn't this just look amazing? Isn't this too good to be true? This perfectly spotless setting with the laptop and the coffee cup and the planner and the pencil and the plants. And there's nothing, no junk laying around the house, right? It looks perfect and in control. How do you build that? I believe one of the ways you do that is to focus every day, every one of you, no matter what your particular job is at Guild, on what are the 3 things that I have to do today. You know, my friend Todd Bookspan, a former coach for us, a former client of mine, created a planner called the Win by Noon Planner. Many of you probably see it. Highly recommend it. Great tool. One of the things that it does in the upper left-hand corner is it delineates this. I happen to be a full focus planner user, so that's what my page looks like. And in the upper left-hand corner every single day, it's what are the 3 things that have to be accomplished today? Not a task list with 27 things on it, but a much shorter list, like these 3 things. If I knock those 3 things out today, my day is a win. Does that make sense to you? Good, I can see all your heads nodding. Number 3, the last thing I want you to think about is creating your routine. What does your routine look like? Most of you are working from home right now, and I'm not kidding. We have all evolved and developed into now, if you've read The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg's book, you know that we for years have said something that is not accurate, as it turns out, that it takes 21 days to form a habit. That sounds good. It's not accurate. It depends on the complexity of the activity. The average is more like 60 to 65 days. And we've been home for about 60 to 65 days. And so what we've done is we've actually created now new habits. So the question is, are they good habits? Are they bad habits? Is this a good routine that I have, or is this a bad routine? So let's look at some things that we can all do. If I'm going to look at my old habits that I've created, what are now some of the new habits that can help pull me out of this? So here's one. If you don't have a standing desk, like get a couple of milk crates and a piece of plywood. The idea of sitting all day long is a really bad idea. Most of you know that. Many of your offices, back at the office, you probably have a standing desk, and you may have a convertible one. There's lots of inexpensive options to do this, and you don't even have to spend any money. You probably got stuff in the garage that could help you to do this. Stand. I've set my alarm so that every time I get out of a coaching session, which is every 30 minutes, I convert this. I've got a Versa desk, it's called, and it's got 2 handles on the side, and it's pneumatic, and it just allows me to move to a standing position, seated position, standing position, seated position. Very simple, but a way to vary your routine. Something that we've learned a lot from Dr. Henry Cloud and other neuroscientists is that particularly when you're working at home, you can stay on task for about 55 minutes, and then you're going to start just dropping off dramatically in terms of your effectiveness. Whether you're multitasking or you're thinking about something else, take a 5-minute break. Like, just take a 5-minute break. Go walk around outside. Go in the kitchen and get a glass of water. Do something, but about every 55 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Walk the dog. You guys, it's okay. If you've got a dog, that dog would love to go outside on a walk with you, and you can use the break. Start thinking about some of the things that you can do to vary your routine so you end up in a much healthier place as a result. Start thinking about food. It is the strangest thing what we've done, right? We had this run on toilet paper and particular foods and so suddenly it's like Tim Sanders the other day, who wrote Love is the Killer app. He said, all of my suits think I died. It's such a great line. He's like, he's not traveling and speaking, and I've got the same experience. And so in our kitchen, what we know is what is in there. We have more frozen foods and lunch meats that we are consuming for obvious reasons, right? So now it's time to start thinking about, okay, everything's loosening up a little bit. What could I do to improve the quality of my diet? Because really, ultimately, it's just fuel, right? It's the fuel that's going to control our blood sugar and how we feel. Start thinking about what you're eating, what you're drinking. I had a client years ago in a moment of confession. I had coached him for 3 years, and he said, Coach, I got to tell you, I drink 6 Dr. Peppers every day. Of course, he was in the South, right? That's where people drink that much Dr. Pepper. And we called it out, and within 3 weeks, he had completely eliminated it. And he said, I cannot tell you how much better I feel. It's unbelievable. So I don't know what that thing is for you, but we've all got something. Let's start eating more healthfully and watch what happens as that routine begins. And so ultimately, here's what I want to leave you with. Your day is yours. Your day is yours. We've all got certain KPIs, key performance indicators, that we have to be accountable for, right? We know what it is that's being measured. But I hope what I've shared with you today is this idea that it's okay. It's not only okay, it's mandatory for you to start looking at, how do I start my day? What kind of a routine do I have? How do I begin to control the things that I can control so that my day is mine? I'm getting my job done. I'm working, but I'm not working all the time, because we're going to pay a price for this. We are, in terms of mental health. And the best way I can help you right now is to say, control what you can control and celebrate the idea that your day is yours. I have loved hanging out with you guys today. If we aren't connected, please come hang out with me on social. Barry and Gemma, I cannot thank you enough for the opportunity. I am honored to spend this time with your team, and I hope what I've shared with you today from my heart is meaningful.
Bill Hart, thank you very much. Bill, you always exceed my expectations, and you did again today, and I thank you for coming on. I think through your words, and they're real words and something we can live by, so thanks again. Make it a great day, Bill.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bill.